a couple of days to process this. I know, obviously, another tough loss. Just can you give us his thoughts on, one, the run, because a lot of people didn't expect you guys to make the run that you did, and then the final, how did you kind of see it all go down?
Yeah, incredibly disappointing, obviously. Another fun run to be a part of. It's always fun to see what the city, how the city kind of supports us and gets behind us and brings people together. But obviously extremely disappointing to not get it done.
You got 1 year left on your contract. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about that. Can you give us any update or situation, or what do you expect moving forward?
As you said, yeah, it's only been a couple days since the season ended. Take some time to regroup. Talk to my agent a little bit and family and all that, and make some decisions whenever that time comes. But there's no rush on anything like that.
Connor, afterwards, you look, it was a 2-2 series, you come down to best of 3, and you mentioned after the game you felt like we just kept doing the same things in game 5 and 6. Can you maybe elaborate on what you felt were those things that ultimately cost you in those 2 games?
Yeah, not good enough starts, obviously. Chasing a game, chasing both games, pretty, down 2, down 3. Not easy to come back. What were the things? I mean, same stuff. We struggled breaking the puck out. That's not on D. That's on everybody. We struggled getting up the ice. Couldn't kind of sustain any pressure, and you just get worn down like that. And I thought, I thought they played really well. They played great.
I know there's not a lot of solace when you lose. Ultimately, you want to win. Your team's good. You go to back-to-back cups. You don't just fluke your way into back-to-back cups and, be really close in both years. Following up on Derek's comment, obviously, I think you know what you mean to Oilers fans and everybody. And Leon said, obviously, he'd like you here forever. It's not something you had to talk about, but with the July 1st window opening, when you look at, just what you've built here with this team and how close it is, do you feel like there's unfinished business for you?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. This core has been together for a long time, and we've been building to this moment, all along. The work that's gone on behind the scenes, the conversations, the endless, disappointments, and some good times along the way, obviously as well. We're all in this together, trying to get it over that finish line. With that being said, ultimately, still need to do what's best for me and my family, and that's who you have to take care of first. But of course, there's unfinished business here. Yeah.
You mentioned, obviously it's disappointing, but are you able to focus as much on the good times? Because you think about it, there's, the ending's bad, but all the other steps on the journey to get there have been really good. Do you have a balance of that to ensure you don't just focus on the end result?
Tough to focus on the good stuff 2 days out after, that disappointment, obviously. I'm sure as time goes on, we'll look back on, another successful kind of run, I guess, making it to the finals and be 2 games away. I'm sure there'll be a little bit of that, but at the end of the day, I get up here every year and tell you that it's all about winning, and it's only about winning, and we won't be satisfied until that's done.
So, theoretically, if Florida throws a game at you guys that you just, as you point out, you guys never quite figured out. Theoretically, every team could just say, okay, we'll just throw that game at the Oilers and we're going to beat them. I know it doesn't work that way. Does this team need to change, structurally? Does it need to change a great deal so that the next team that throws that game at you, you know how to handle it?
Well, I think Florida's a special group. They got, I said it after the thing, they got 8 guys with 20-plus points in the playoffs. Their third line is plus 20, that's unheard of. Their back end's big and fast and long and tough. And they got a world-class goaltender. They're not just throwing any game at you. They're throwing their game that they've practiced and worked at, and obviously have come up with a recipe that is extremely successful. And I think we're doing that in our own way. It might not look like Florida. It might not look like their game, but, it's a solid game in its own way. Every team is going to have their own strategy with their personnel. I think we've found a winning formula here. Didn't find a way to get 2 more wins, obviously, and that's the end goal. But yeah, I forget what your question was anyway. Sorry, I talked myself into a circle. Sorry, sorry.
Connor, respecting that, and you mentioned how much you got some things to think about, obviously, but what are those things? What do you want to kind of drill down on as you make a decision here on a contract extension and the thought of possibly staying here for a while?
Winning would be at the top of the list, and then winning would be it's the most important thing. If I feel that there's a good window to win here over and over again, then signing is no problem. Yeah, I again, it's only been a couple of days. I'm sure we'll get into it over the course of the next couple of weeks. But again, I'm not in a rush to make any decision, so I don't think that there needs to be any timeline. I know people are going to look at that July 1 day and be looking to see if there's anything done. But for me, I'm just not in a rush that way. So
I know this might be a weird or stupid question, but is there any way you compare the 2 losses last year versus this year, just in the way you guys felt? Would it feel any differently?
I would say last year was like heartbreak, like you're sad. I'd say this year is more angry, just than heartbreak. It's more frustrating. It's more, I would say that would be the comparison.
Connor, your team has run up against the champion now 4 years in a row. That combined with the 4 nations, did you see different levels of hockey this year than you've seen before? And can it push the team and your own game forward a little bit, seeing those levels?
We don't need to look very far at what it takes to win or what it feels like to play against a winning team. As you said, we've done it 4 years in a row now. The hockey at the 4 Nations was the best hockey I've ever been a part of, that level. And a close second would be that Florida team that we just played. So there's certainly levels to everything, and Florida's reached a real high level, and certainly lots we can learn from that.
Connor, you've been here for a while, and now it's 2 Stanley Cup finals in a row that went the wrong way. So what's the balance between frustration and a strengthening of resolve?
Well, we come back and we do it again. There's no quit. Guys can take their time and get healthy, and guys will go through their process, whatever that process looks like for each individual person. But ultimately, it's on every person in that room, in that organization, to dust themselves off, come back and be better. I know that's cliche, but it's true. Everyone's got to find a new level. It's not like we have a ton of cap room and we got a long list of highly touted prospects knocking on the door. It's got to come from within the players that are playing, and everybody's got to find a new level, myself included.
Just sort of following that up, how do you think this team, this organization is positioned, not just for next year, but 3, 4, 5 years down the road to keep this window open?
I think the team is certainly positioned to be really good again next year. Really, really good again next year. Beyond that, I don't know or care. We're worried about next year, and that's the only focus.
How do you handle the pressure that you have on yourself? A lot of people expect you to help carry the team. You're the captain, the talent that you have, but you have to deal with the psyche of your teammates, but also yourself. How did you deal with that 2 cup runs in a row, having to worry about the others, but also yourself?
Well, I think every team that is successful and goes to the finals and I don't think you need to really worry about guys. That's certainly the case in our room. There's no one to worry about. Everybody is a strong individual player, person, that can take care of themselves and can perform in big moments. And I think we've showed that time and time again. And so I think this is, I said it kind of in between the West Final and the final that this was the easiest group I've ever been a part of, and that's true. There's not many guys to worry about in there.
And just with the fans, like a message to them, because a lot of people are watching the contract talks. It's a big deal for a lot of fans. And so I know you can't really give any reassurances right now or anything like that, but just, they've been through a ride as well over the last couple of seasons. And so, wanting to see what exactly happens with your future here in Edmonton.
My message to the fans would be to keep being patient and keep believing, because they've been through a lot, obviously, as you said, just like our team has. The emotional highs, the lows. I look at what these playoff runs do to my family. It's hard on them. It's hard on the fans, it's hard on everybody, but ultimately when that day comes, it'll all be worth it. These moments are tough now, and it's tough to look to that, but, when that moment comes, it'll be, it'll be worth the wait for sure.
Connor, Nuge was able to play, and he's hurt. Ekholm was able to play, not as well as he could, being hurt. What did you miss most by not having Zach Hyman, who obviously could not play?
Yeah, injuries certainly played a factor. Missing Hyman in a series where, speed and is that your podcast you're listening to? Huh? Uh-huh.
Just dropped Deshaun Watson in this mess.
Injuries, definitely played a factor, I would say. Missing High in a series where, battles and speed and getting up the ice were an issue. Those are Zach's specialty. Missed him a lot. Nuge, to be able to gut it out with, a broken hand and give us what he gave us was pretty special. That was a pretty painful thing for him to go through, and it wasn't easy to watch him go through that, but pretty amazing what he was able to do. And obviously, he said Eki with his groin, giving us everything he had. Ultimately, just it sucks to not be 100% in those big moments as a group.
Just last one, I guess, for me, Connor. Just you talk about winning being the most important thing in this decision for you. Do you look at this organization and do you think this organization gives you that best opportunity? Like when you guys are so close, do you feel in your heart like this is the organization that gives you a really good opportunity to win?
3 days ago, we were 2 games from winning. Last year, we were 2 shots away from winning. So the belief is incredibly high in that room. We talked about that all throughout the playoffs. And we do believe that, this group can win and will win. I hope that answers your question. I would say yeah. I would say yeah.
Hey, Connor, just one last one for me, because there's another player whose contract is the talk of the town, and that's Evan Bouchard. Can you maybe discuss how much you've seen him grow and what he's meant to this team in the playoffs over the last couple of years?
Yeah, every time there's a big game or a big moment, he shows up, and that's a skill that not everybody has. So, does he make some boo-boos every now and then in November? Sure, we all do. But I think his game has been just improving year after year, and seems like month by month he just gets better and better. So thought he took big strides defensively this year, taking on a role in the penalty kill, as we've talked about. He's incredibly important to the group. Definitely a deal that needs to get done, and one that is really important for us.
After the game ended, now that you've had a couple days, can you kind of give us your assessment of the final as a whole and kind of what happened?
Yeah, I mean, not much has changed regarding my comments, I guess. I think that obviously it's disappointing. There's two teams left playing, and you want to be the last team standing, and we didn't get that done for 2 years in a row, and that's obviously frustrating and disappointing. But I think that we probably just made it a little bit too easy for them, especially the last couple games. There's a couple of mistakes that we made that we didn't get from them. It was never that easy. So something to learn for sure.
Leon, you look at this core of this group, and then if Connor resigns here for a lengthy term, do you see the core of this group with you and the other guys, and feel that you have an opportunity to keep kicking the can here and hopefully keep coming back, keep going on a run, and hopefully eventually a breakthrough?
I mean, yeah, that's the plan, of course. The plan is to, have runs like that over and over again, and hopefully eventually, the luck or whatever you want to call it is on our side, and we win. Obviously, it's 2 years where it's about as close as you can be. Lots of positives you can take out of this, but at the end of the day, there's one team celebrating right now.
Leon, how do you sort of equate your personal success? A strong argument can be made you were the best skater in the league this year, 33 points in the playoffs, but not ultimately get the sort of end team goal.
Yeah, that's always hard because obviously, especially with Connor and myself, we a lot of times we get judged off of our production, our points, our output offensively, but the only thing that him and I want is to win, and I can go through a playoff run with 12 points, and if we win, I'll be happy. And that's the same for everybody in our group. So it was a good year for me personally. I thought I was consistent. I played well, but at the end of the day, that turns into second.
Leon, when you go to Game 7 and lose 2-1 like you did last year, you feel like you don't have to get a whole lot better. Then you guys go through the West and you 5-game series, beat two really good teams, and you go into the Cup and we think, man, they're not just a little better, they're way better. Was Florida way better too this year than they were last year?
I think so. Yeah, I think they were much better than last year, and they were good last year. I think it's a little bit of personnel, and I think again they just added another layer of maturity and calmness, and I guess those two things are most important. But I would say that they were better. Yeah.
Leon, just back here, several months ago now, you made a really long-term, big commitment to this team. We all know the situation with Connor. What are the conversations like? How do you kind of talk to him about trying to make a similar commitment to this team?
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't really talked to Connor about it yet. There comes a time where we talk about it, but there's nothing that I can tell you right now that you want to hear or you need to hear. You know, that's his situation, and he will do what's best for him and his family. And I mean, do I want him here forever? Yes, of course. I think everybody does. So, yeah, there's not much I can give you there.
Hey, Leon, this is the oldest team in league, and you've been there twice, and you got very close. Is there still a lot of runway left, or is time a factor in this thing?
Well, I don't necessarily think time is. I mean, time is always a factor, but our core is not old. Our core is probably in the prime right now, in terms of maturity and experiences and all those things. So. We were an older team. Oh God! Got up early. There you go. Sorry, guys. Yeah, pay you guys after. Where were we? Yeah, we were an older team. Do we need to get a little bit younger? Maybe a little bit faster. Maybe. But I think our core group is at an age where, you know, we got a lot of juice left. So hopefully we can, you know, continue to, you know, kick away at it.
Leon, this year, and I know you've talked about it a lot, you mentioned it, you know, the points are, you're going to score points, that's what you do, but you've made a real conscious effort to improve your defensive game, and I think the numbers showed it this year. Where did you feel you made the biggest improvement in your two-way defensive game this year?
I think it just the consistency and the patience part of it. I always knew that, you know, when I truly put my mind to it, I can defend really well. And I think there's times in the past where I've showed that. This year, I did it pretty much every single game, and yeah. So I think the consistency part, and then just sticking through like a certain process a little bit longer.
Now, I know you don't have decision on this because you're the player, but when Paul Maurice and the Panthers lost in 23, he mentioned that Barkov and Tkachuk, you know, when they're together, they're great, but our team's better when they're on separate lines. And for the most part, they are. They load up every now and then. You and Connor are kind of similar. And Knobloch said he feels you're better at center. Not that you're bad with Connor. Do you think for the long-term success, majority of the time that you two have apart, that's the nuclear option? Because now you're going to be on the ice with one of the best players more often as a team.
Yeah, I mean, I think ideally we want to be driving our own lines, and we did for the most part this season. You know, I think that Connor and I obviously play extremely well together. So I think it's hard for coaches sometimes to look at their bench and be like, how can I not throw them out there together? How can I not give it a try, especially when you're chasing or when you need a goal or something. So in the long run, like, yeah, we've always said, I think driving our own lines is best, but I think it's something that, you know, you just have to go to every once in a while.
Leon, you talked about Florida. You've now lost to the champion 4 years in a row. Has that caliber of opposition pushed your team to play better hockey each year? Do you think your team is playing as good a hockey as it's ever played?
I mean, yeah, for the last couple of months, other than the final series, I don't think we ever really got to our really good game. So, but it certainly pushes you to be a great team, right? You want to beat these teams. You want to be in the ring with these guys, and I think we've done that. Another thing that pushes us, obviously, is just wanting to win. You know, actually being the last team standing. So, yeah.
Terrific playoffs, didn't get the ultimate prize. Where's your headspace at with how you assess what occurred this year?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we didn't get the job done. That's why we play the game. That's why, you play and you work out in the summer and you do all the things. And, it's unfortunate. It's tough. It never gets easy. I'll say that. But I think there's a lot of good hockey left in that room, and a lot of good players in that room that want to win, and it's gonna get there.
When a guy has 19 goals and 5 fights in the regular season and 10 goals in the playoffs, he's got a compelling case as an unrestricted free agent. Is it about the money, or is it more about situational fit where he can win?
I just want to win, and I think if knowing me, that's been my motto the whole time, is I want to win, and hopefully it's here, and hopefully we can figure something out and get something done. That's because this is a good team, and there's some good things that are ahead.
In that vein, what is there a status? What can you tell us about the status? Is there negotiations going on? Are you guys talking about coming back? And how important would it for you would it be to kind of stick with this group?
Well, like I said, I would love to stay here, but I'll let the higher ups do the rest of the talking and do all that. So, but I thought my play was, I went out, left everything on the ice, everything I could give, and I let that do a lot of the talking. So, we'll see where it goes, and hopefully we're back.
Look back at this series, the Stanley Cup Final, the last 2 games in particular. Do you think it's more what Florida did, or maybe what you guys didn't do in games 5 and 6 in particular?
They're well rehearsed in what they do. They don't deviate from their game plan. They stuck with it, and they finished on their chances. It's the way hockey goes. Sometimes you get the break, sometimes you don't, and that's just the way it goes. I think for us, we left it all out there. We did as much as we could, and they found a way to win.
Corey, I just wonder if there's anything that surprised you about your season personally. You played a lot with Connor and Leon. You scored 19 goals, 10 more in the playoffs. Did you feel more comfortable, I guess, this year as well than you did coming in last year midseason?
Yeah, I mean, coming in halfway through a season is not easy. You have to, and at that point they were in the midst of their 16-game winning streak, and or whatever it was. So you just try to fit in and mesh, but I thought this year, I played some good hockey with them. I love playing with them. I mean, they're two of the best players in the world for a reason. So, I felt comfortable, and the family was here, and they were comfortable, and so it worked, and I was excited about that.
Corey, going to that many Stanley Cup Finals and losing, when you look back at that, is that devastating, or are you glad for that experience? How does a player view that?
Yeah, it's devastating. I mean, 5 of the last 6, it doesn't get any easier. It just it doesn't feel real, but you get ready and you move on, and I mean, you get ready for next season. Hopefully, you have that opportunity again.
You don't look back 10 years from now and say that was pretty cool to get there that many times and be a part of it.
Well, yeah, maybe in 10 years when I look back, whenever I'm done playing.
Fair enough. You're close to one. What have you heard?
Yeah, I think we're talking, the agent's talking, and hopefully something will get done here.
Now, can you kind of give us a gauge now that the year's over, just what percentage were you at? Because if you go to NHL Edge and you just look at pure speed in Boston to Edmonton, it's night and day. Can you talk about just maybe how limited you were with the ankle?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to put a percentage on something, but I don't know. They did a really good job, the medical staff, to get me to feel the best I could, and as I kept playing, it got better and better.
Is it safe to say, though, you feel that you got a lot more when you're healthy than what you were able to do in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really like thrilled with exactly how I played through the playoffs, but you know, that's the past. It's hard to look back and have a lot of stuff to work on, and I'm excited about that.
Trent, you came in here and obviously trying to get over that injury. You only had the one, I think, regular season game. What was it like to kind of jump into the playoffs and try and get right back up to speed? That couldn't have been easy. And then what was it like kind of fitting in with these guys, knowing that the end goal was to win the cup?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you get traded deadline, you want to come to a team that has a chance, and you know, getting that opportunity was awesome. And obviously, it's not ideal to just hop in and play right in the playoffs, but you know, they made me feel comfortable in the sense of our style and everything. And I think after the first couple games, I got more comfortable and felt better.
Just following up on that a little bit, what was it about being here and the team and the city and the situation that makes you want to commit long-term to the Oilers?
I think it's just, you know, playing this time of year. I think with this group and, you know, having a chance to do that year in, year out, I think is why I'd love to be back here. And just everyone that's at the rink, like it's pretty impressive when I first got here, how genuinely nice everyone is. And, you know, they treat you, it's a first-class organization. They treat you very well, from just travel to, you know, taking care of your family and stuff like that. So,
Trent, when you came here via trade, Stan Bowman was saying that he sees you either as a third-line center or as a top-six winger. And I know injuries and trying to get your feet up and running and all that kind of maybe put you down in the lineup a little bit. But is that where you see yourself being if you're able to stay with this team in the long term?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've never really been slotted like anywhere. I feel like I've played all over the lineup, you know, mostly bottom six in my career in Boston. And, you know, I would love to get opportunities and stuff like that, but you got to earn it. And I think one of the things that I think can make me a value is I can play left, center, and right. I would love to play more center. It's tough sometimes just to hop into a new team. And, you know, guys have taken thousands of faceoffs throughout the year, and you've only taken a couple. That can make it pretty difficult. But yeah, I would love to play, I don't know, center or right or left. I mean, it's hard to say, but I would love to another chance to play center, you know, in the NHL as full time.
What is it about center that intrigues you? Because I understand you played a lot more on the wing, right?
Yeah, I played mostly on the wing in my career. The last two playoffs I played center, but played wing throughout the whole regular season. I don't know. It's the position I played my whole life. You're pretty involved. You can get your skating more in the D zone. You have more of the defensive responsibilities, and I don't know. I think it's more the flow of the game and be able to move around the ice.
Trent, I do want to ask you, they've been saying that, you know, the talk on the ice and the nastiness on the ice was like at another level in this Stanley Cup. I was wondering, could you give us an insight, you know, maybe a peek at what it was like being on the ice and how much kind of vitriol was there between the two teams?
Yeah, I don't know if I can. Yeah, there's some chirping going on. I don't think it's anything crazy, like anything more different than whenever I've played Florida in the past. And I've played them 3 years in a row. I don't know. I guess they like to run their mouth, but I don't think they were, you know, anything different than the last couple of years.
Trent, what did you learn about what it takes to win it all, having now gone to Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final?
Yeah, I mean it's extended season. Like you know, we're almost in July, so you know it takes a lot of mentally, physically. You know, even the sense of handling everyone. You know, everything when you keep going on and on, everything is upscaled from people asking for tickets. You know, family coming, just the whole process of all that. So it was, you know, a great experience, and obviously want to get back there.
Third straight year, but you didn't get the ultimate prize. How do you sort of weigh that? The individual success you had, but not getting the final couple wins.
yeah, would definitely trade that for obviously the cup. The end goal is to win. We didn't get there. It's all there is really to that.
You just did a 2-year bridge deal. You put up some pretty good numbers. You're the second or third highest scoring defenseman in the last couple seasons. Where are you at? Where's your headspace at carrying forward? What sort of conversations have you had with Dave, and has Dave had any conversations with Stan?
Yeah, we kind of tried to not talk about it too much. Come playoff time, focus on hockey. I love being here. Want to be here, and we'll see where talks go in next few days when I get home.
3 of the first 4 games in this series went to overtime. The last 2 games, Florida won fairly decisively. What do you think happened in the final 2 games that resulted in them kind of, I guess for lack of a better term, kind of separating themselves a bit?
First periods, I think that's what hurt us. We were fighting to come back in most of the games. It's not always a recipe for success against a team like Florida, who is such a good team. It's hard to do consistently. We had our chances to score, and sometimes didn't, and they put it in, and you're chasing the game again.
How do you feel? Obviously you see it as well offensively. I just wondering, how do you feel about your defensive game, and where's that coming, and how do you feel you're developing as a really solid two-way defenseman?
It's definitely gotten better. I think it's going to keep getting better. The longer you play in the league, the more you get comfortable with everything else. So I think it's coming. My game's coming. Still a lot of work to be done.
Evan, just at the back here, I mean, you have arbitration rights. You're 2 years away from hitting the open market. Would your preference be to sign a long-term deal this year, or would you kind of want to go year by year?
Again, I haven't given it much thought, especially come playoff time. We're going to see where it goes. But like I said, I want to be here, and look forward to getting things going.
You're also eligible for an offer sheet. Would you entertain that at all?
Again, haven't thought about that. Like I said, I like being here. I want to be here.
Go off on that a little bit. You've been here in the city for so many years. What exactly is it about this city, about this team, the fans, that you would maybe want to sign long-term?
The team, coaching staff, everybody around, the fans. For me, it's I want to, as everyone else, want to bring a cup back to Edmonton. You put so much into the organization. You want to get rewarded for it. You want to reward the fans for all the times they come out supporting us. So hopefully you can do that one day.
And is there the appetite that you've been there twice now in a row and you want to finish the job? Does that kind of play a little factor in, with contract talks?
Definitely, yeah. Getting to the end 2 years in a row now, not getting it done, it's going to make it that much sweeter when we do get this done.
Evan, what made the Florida Panthers more difficult for a defenseman than, say, Vegas, who's a big, heavy team, and Dallas, and you beat those 2 teams in 5? What made it so difficult for a defenseman?
The way they forecheck, relentless. They're good at getting pucks back. Their forecheck was good. It felt like they're on top of you constantly. They did a good job at that, and that's kind of their identity. They work and compete, and in the end, we couldn't do enough to kind of beat that.